True Blood 2, 1, True Blood Season 1, episodes 5 or 6. 6. Maxine Fortenberry! You put that bite out right now!
I almost made pecan squares last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching True Blood, Season 1, Episode 6.
Cold Ground.
Cold Ground. I love Gran.
Yeah.
And I am more sad watching this episode than I am the one before. She was stabbed 30 times.
It's a lot. It's a lot of times.
By that coat shitting son of a bitch. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about that.
He is shitting on the coats. Pretty bad.
Man, yeah. I'm curious. I'm so curious to see what people are going to think about this and if they're going to like it or yada yada. Because so much of it is revisiting for us. It's we're not just like chronicling the show,
and we're not like reacting to it as if we've never seen it before, because we have, obviously. And I remember we rewatched season 1
a couple of
like
times,
a good 3 times. I feel like,
because I watched the last time I remember honestly watching it was in 2011 with Jen.
Okay, yeah,
because she loved it, but still, that's 11 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not revisited this show in.
It's just it's funny because it's so much soapier, like it's so much campier than I realized. We're also in like a prestige place.
Sure, but you're right. We're veering harder into like actual real fantasy in the TV landscape right now in a way that's
I was gonna say True Blood walked so Game of Thrones could run.
Sure. I will say though, to the soapy aspect, and also it's based on essentially romance novels. Mm-hmm. The end of this episode is Sookie running across a cemetery in a flowing white nightgown. In a frock, yeah. So it's like, this is a romance, this is a soap opera, and it's like, it's only, in my opinion, through the strength of the actors that we get anything more elevated.
It really does elevate, but fucking several people. Fucking Sam. Ugh. He's terrible, and he is so cloying. Like he just won't leave her alone.
Here's the thing:
he's like a dog with a bone.
He also, it's the like nice guy thing. It's like the hello, m'lady, nice guy, and it's just he's so tender about everything, and it's just like it's still not getting through his head that like the reason Sookie likes Bill is because she can't hear his thoughts. And so, like, Sam doesn't stand a chance.
Well, and also because she's attracted to him.
She's also attracted to Bill.
I'm so sick of people using, like, logic, like it's a mathematical equation.
Sure.
Like, well, I have 7 more points than he does, ergo you should like me. And it's like, you know why I like him? Because he's not adding.
Yeah, he's not doing math all the time. But the other thing is Sam also, again, like you said, dog with a bone, he will not let it go. He just keeps on. Do you really think that like minutes after, or I guess hours, but like hours after she found her grandmother stabbed 30 times on the kitchen floor of their house is the right time for you to keep pressing your pursuit of her? But
it's because if it were Bill, she would go for it. So I think he thinks that he's just not making himself available enough.
You're too available.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing too, is like he's making himself so aggressively available while also though carrying on a sexual relationship with her best friend.
Well, so that I feel like that was because they said it was like a one-time thing. Yeah. And then it seems like he got the message at the end of this episode. So he's like settling for Tara. But also,
it's also gross.
Yeah, but Tara, it's not like Jason settling for Tara. That's a different thing. Like, because like Tara is not in any place for an actual connection.
Well, and Tara is also in her own way settling for Sam. She's not in this for a relationship. But she's like, I don't want to be alone. I loved Gran too. Like,
so okay. One of the things we've talked at length about it, but one of the things that I remember from the show was I remember not liking Tara, and I think, as of watching these past few episodes, I think that's mostly because of the show loses her character thread.
Yeah.
And then restarting it again, she's introduced very strongly.
Right.
I forgot how great she was actually at this point.
Yeah. Those scenes with them in her bedroom are like
well, because
really
somebody needs to take control.
Yeah.
And Sookie, usually it would be Sookie, but she doesn't have the ability because she's like jet lagged with her emotions.
Yeah.
Like she's not in real time. And so there's the scene where she's like, okay, we're going to go upstairs. And Sam's like, do I need to come? And she's like, dear God, like Christ in heaven, no.
No, you're totally right. She's
and
like,
she's like,
for
we
the
need
love of God.
She's like, we need girl talk. And then she's like, come on, Lafayette. And I forgot, like, it's characterization, yes, but it's also Nelson. I forgot how effortless Lafayette is. So many people in this show are doing things and varying degrees of things.
Yeah.
That's not really, it's not good or bad.
And I do think that's one thing about Tara, is that it does feel like Rutina Wesley is trying to like be in this show, which is not a failing in any way. It's just like you can see the work.
It's also, I can believe, like, I've met people like that. Like, there are people who are doing too much.
Yeah.
Like,
because it's also, it could be like 3D chess in a way that Rutina Wesley is like, Tara is trying all the time. So I'm going to do that. And it like comes across the way it needs to. But I don't think we've mentioned Nelson Ellis passed away a couple of years ago. And I think it was just a super tragedy because so good. And I didn't really get a chance to see him in much else. But this is like he sort of is one of the defining performances in this show.
Again, I mean, to say it again, effortless.
Yeah.
It's just so, and there is something about, because it's like, we've talked about it a little bit, and I think this is part of the disconnect, is because this show attempts to have a relationship with race, with what it means to be Black in the South. And I think it's just a handful of years ahead of its time, maybe.
So I think it's that, and I also think there wasn't enough in the writer's room.
We talked about that previously, but I do think the handful of times where it works, I think it's very interesting seeing, because in many ways, Sookie is also an other.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think when you see her bond with the Thornton family, I think it's really very interesting.
Yeah.
And we have, so there's so many things I feel passionately about.
Because I think springboarding off that, I think what doesn't allow the conversations about race in the show to like fly or like actually work is the fact that almost everybody in the show is some kind of other.
Well, I also think,
it's like they're trying to say it as a metaphor, but they're also trying to say it as like the reality of being Black in the South. And the reality is not landing the way that the like fantasy aspect is landing.
That's what I was going to say, is because it's also, you know, we are not uniquely qualified to talk about this, but I think it's there and I feel a duty to acknowledge it. But it's like, I think we are in the middle of a reckoning.
Yeah.
So it's like we are talking about being Black in the South, and it's like, yes, that's its own thing. But as of now, in 2022, in America, being Black in America, period, is its own thing. And I think when this came out in 2009, I think we, and especially white people, were under the illusion that we were post-race. So it's using the vampire metaphor.
Yeah.
It feels like we don't need to really be having the Black conversations, because in this show it's moved on.
Yeah. This episode aired like a month before Barack Obama got elected as president.
Okay.
So we're not even there yet in a way. Like he was.
But I'm saying like a lot of white people were like, "Oh, it's done. Like it's fixed."
Yeah.
And so I think that that's part of the issue, and I think that's more specifically what I mean when I was like, because of the timing of the show, it somehow is ahead of and behind.
Yeah.
Behind the curve. Like, I think if this were a show that were rebooted, and this is tricky, a lot of shows have attempted it and not pulled it off. But if it were rebooted, I think it would explore this subject matter differently.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think it would make more of marrying the metaphor of the otherness of the creatures with being Black in the South, and in a way that they are approaching it as two separate things, in a way that if they tried to marry the metaphor, it would be a lot more successful, I think.
Well, and you're right, there is a fair amount of othering of others in the cast, and varying degrees, because it's like we get people who are, you know, outright racist or outright sexist or outright many of these things, and then we get sort of a blurring of the lines. And it's like, because for instance, you know, Maxine Fortenberry, it's like she pretends to be good,
Yeah.
but her thoughts betray her.
Adele was just an angel sent from heaven, too good for this world.
Heard they almost cut off her head. I don't see any blood. Should have gotten here sooner. Maybe I should have brought my red velvet cake instead.
Excuse me?
Her thoughts are terrible.
Where someone like Arlene, I think, is ignorant.
Yeah.
It's like she's not bad. She just doesn't know.
She also doesn't have...
Like, I don't think she has ill.
She also, that's the thing, is she doesn't have as nasty of an inner monologue as Maxine Fortenberry does. So it's like... Arlene's badness is very on the surface.
Well, but again, it's ignorance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just sort of
I
from
put it in quotes.
yeah.
She's not a bad person.
But it's from a lack of, it's from a genuinely not really getting it or not really knowing. And because I would even go as far as to speak up for or defend Maxine Fortenberry with her thoughts about like the carnage, because that's so human.
Of course. Yeah.
It's I knew I should have made red velvet cake just to trigger Sookie. I mean, first of all, despicable, but second of all, that nugget.
Pretty funny.
That nugget.
Oh, man.
Because I in many cases, I'll give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's like, and I think the show does a good job of grappling with that, with Sookie. They don't feel the need to, as we like to say, put a button on it. Like she'll hear these things, and the show doesn't feel the need to have her explain to us why that was good, bad, or in between.
Yep.
And I tell you, if I were Sookie, I would already be locked away, because I would stay screaming at people.
Oh yeah,
like when she snaps at the funeral.
Just as nuts as nuts can be.
You're sleeping with your grandmother's killer.
He's dead because of you.
Shut up! All of you just shut the fuck up!
That would be me.
The fact that so far she's only done it twice. And if we're being fair, that one of the biggest complaints I ever had about this show is that like the entire series, we get a time jump at a certain point, but like the first 3 seasons is like a 6-month span of time.
I forgot about that.
It's so condensed. It's such a small condensed amount of time. And so that's the kind of, so she has done it now twice in, I guess, like a week and a half, like 10 days, which just seems like a lot. But
I would do it twice before noon, though.
Every day.
It's like
grand.
I would just be popping off.
Yeah, and it's what's interesting to me especially is that she seems to really respect, she tries harder when she's with Tara or Jason, because they very specifically don't want her to listen. And
it also, I think with them, it's more of a muscle memory, because you also get the sense that people are different.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But I just wrote a note that it's one of the reasons why I love Anna Paquin and Sookie is I've literally never seen a half faint acted.
Oh, because she like falls to her knees, but then she like yeah.
It was just, I don't know. It was really good. And you made a comment because they're trying to get her to go to a friend's house to stay.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is my house. I won't be scared.
Yeah.
And you were like, that's something you want to.
Yeah. I love that about Sookie, because while it's not always the correct decision
or the smart or safe
decision, she very frequently stands her ground in moments like that. And I really like that about her as a character, that because she also is like, I'm as safe here as anywhere. Like,
and I also kind of feel like it's like, so I can go stay with Tara and put her in danger.
Yeah.
Like,
because they also, she hears, I think Andy Belfleur is like
detective,
whatever. he's like, she was probably just the killer caught Adele by mistake and was like looking for Sookie.
So it's the gray. It's the shades of gray that I appreciate so much in most things, but in the show, because I love how just how awful Andy Belfleur is, but Bud Dearborn's kind of amazing. Because when he's shaping, I mean, he's an old man in the South, an old white man in the South.
He's also sort of a dick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And his thoughts are not great.
But when he's shaping up Bill, and he's sort of like, I imagine you've seen a dead body or two in your time.
Whoa, Mr. Compton, this official crime scene. You can't be in here.
It's all right, Andy. I suspect Vampire Bill's been around a dead body or two before. Isn't that right, sir?
And it's just Bill, like, almost as mad, but he's kind of like,
well, because it's also like, yeah, you were there last night too. listening to me talk about being a soldier in the Civil War. I've seen so many dead bodies. Like, what is the
But
point
it just,
of
I
this?
don't know. It's just, he just manages, because even his thoughts are sort of like, yeah, they're inappropriate, because he's like, that should have been you, or could have been you, or something there, but I don't know.
It's like, it's just chance that it wasn't you, kind of a thing. Yeah.
And as I recall, he's not one of the ones that's like, you dumb whore.
No, but like almost everybody is like, screwing that vampire. And it's just like, except for she doesn't screw him until the end of this episode. And the fact that all of these people are like, it's because you're having dirty sex, you Jezebel. It's just sort of, I'm like,
they're thinking that regardless.
Well,
that's on a loop.
I'm just like,
it's a Fox News Chiron.
It like really annoys me in a way that like they can't keep themselves from thinking these like nasty things about Sookie.
I kind of can't believe some of the choices the show makes with Jason.
Wow. I forgot how shitty he was at this point. So shitty. Like shittier than I remember.
Yeah.
He hits her in the face.
Like
he wallops her. He like winds up to do it. He's getting the power from the entire walk into the room. And it's not his fault that he doesn't know Gran died. Multiple people tried to call him, and he was too high and fucked up on Randy Sue to even realize.
I love you.
I remember now why we loved her, because it was this whole thing.
But I don't know what it is. I still kind of get Jason, because that scene where she's fucking his brains out.
Yeah.
Well, she's fucking her brains out, and he's just crying. Like, he's just like,
yeah.
I don't know it. And I mean, the way that, oh God, I love the way that Tara tells him off too. It's like, I love how protective they are.
Yeah.
Oh, bitch, don't you lay hand on her!
Screwing a vampire, Tara.
Yeah, well, that vampire was there for her when you weren't. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Is that how your grandma raised you, to beat on your own sister? Get the hell out of here. Get out! Get out!
Well, because Tara is like, get the fuck out of this room. You hit your sister. Is that the way your grandmother raised you? How dare you?
Lafayette is right there. He will end you.
Lafayette has left by that point.
Had he?
Yeah.
Regardless, Lafayette will end you.
Lafayette will end you. and he will look amazing doing it in that immaculate suit. Unbelievable.
Everyone else is held together with toothpicks.
Yeah.
And he's like,
oh yeah. But that's the thing too, is because Jason is like, it should have been you. It's your fault that she's dead. And I'm just like, what a thing to say to your sister. I don't have siblings, but I can't imagine saying something like that to somebody I give a shit about.
It happens.
I'm sure
it's almost
happens.
more. It's almost more prone. Like you can get away with it more because of that. I'm not saying it's like a free for all. Like an end. It depends. I mean, for some people, but we have Uncle Bartlett. I kind of remember. I don't know that we're on the same page. I think. I don't know. We'll cover it as it comes. But I think
it's relatively soon.
Yeah, he's Gran's brother. And Jason invited him. And that I don't understand. I don't understand. If Jason was even like 30% more together, then maybe I would get it. Yeah. But I'm sort of like, you barely have your finger on the pulse, but you were like hip enough to reach out to the black sheep. I don't know.
Also, he is very seriously in a wheelchair. Like, and this is like the next day. How did like Uncle Bartlett manage this? Like, kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
It's really weird. I think it's very bizarre.
I especially agree with you with like Jason still coming down from the V. Like, how did you have the wherewithal to think? How did this happen?
Like, because like if he was like this, like absolutely put together now patriarch of the family, I would see him being like, it's what's right.
Yeah.
But it's like he doesn't have a moral a moral ground in any which way. So we get Letty Mae. I remember being fond of Letty Mae. I don't know that I would go as far as to say that I like her. Mm-hmm. She does fall into that thing, that gay yes queen thing.
Sure.
That I love a piece of work woman.
She's just sort of messy.
Yeah, but it's I think there's something, and I guess I'll credit Adina with it, Adina Porter, who goes on to do American Horror Story and the like. So we're very familiar with her, but there's something very human and very fragile about her. And I totally understand Tara's plight with her. And I don't know. I think the fact that she shows up and speaks at this funeral really does say a lot for her character.
And the fact that she has such nice things to say about Gran.
Well, but because the implication is that she has already started this journey, that whatever that altercation that Tara and her had a couple episodes ago was some breaking point for her. And she's not serving sober.
No, not yet.
But she's serving less mess.
Yeah.
She is showered and clothed and shows up to a daytime funeral. You know what I mean? I think it's interesting. I like the demon metaphor. I don't know that she knows it's a metaphor.
I don't remember 100% how it plays out.
It's fake, but she believes it.
It's 100% fake. Okay. All right.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Aisha Hines is like.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Right. Because Tara sees her like working at the drugstore or something. Yeah. Okay. All right.
But sometimes.
That was very good.
But sometimes people need that. It's sometimes people need the ceremony in order to feel released from something.
If you need to believe that you have a demon in you to get clean.
Because as I recall, mild spoilers, again, you know the deal. Marianne goes in hard in season 2 on her, and I don't think she breaks.
Interesting.
She tries to take Tara back, and Marianne has vodka fresh from the freezer, and she's like pours like
it's
oil.
all oil. Yeah. Okay, I'm remembering.
So I kind of like Letty Mae.
Yeah.
She's a complicated character.
Well, and I love Adina Porter, so it's working.
And I mean you're gonna get that.
Yeah.
You're gonna get that in any story, but especially a Southern Gothic. So, is there anything else?
Sookie and Bill finally have sex.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's talking.
Very romantic.
Yeah. We were talking in this episode about, because Sam and Bill were really peacocking.
Yeah.
And you were like, it's just so stupid. And you made like a Twilight comparison, and you were like, it's like Jacob and Edward. And I was like, yeah. And we get to a place like in the next season or two where it's still kind of like Jacob and Edward, but then we have Eric Northman's Spike. And it's just there's look,
okay, so there is a hierarchy of Sookie love interests in this show. For me, you can disagree, please do so respectfully. For me, it is Eric, and then Bill, and then Sam, and then Alcide. That's it for me.
I've even forgotten. I was like, Alcide isn't even Jacob in this metaphor. It's Sam. How did I forget about Alcide? You literally said it. I was like, why do I know that name? Yeah. I remembered Warlow before I remembered Alcide.
Fucking Warlow. Warlow is under the floorboards. Like, I forgot about Warlow. God, Warlow. Okay, let's move forward.
Bye. Ooh, I'm warm.